first year they put it in, they put it as electric. They thought it was going to be. No, no, no. I love market. I love my favorite class.
They took a picture earlier of the selfie with the city of Easton in the background.
How you doing? Oh, what a cold day it is out there. That wind last night was unbelievable. Woke me up.
Well, George Street finally got open again.
Verizon finally.
That pole. Who owns the pole?
Verizon.
Enjoy the fresh air, Zach.
Bill? Are you invited to Daniel's party on Friday? Wow. That was Dustin. You better type it in there.
I know that, but they always say
There's
that.
a name.
I can't respond to that. That's not right.
25.
All right.
This this should be 0.0133 6. There should be a zero in there. In each one of them. This is right,
Mm-hmm.
but this is per $100 or per $1. So if it's per $100, we have to multiply that by 100,
Okay.
which makes it 13.
Already.
Yeah. Okay. I will update it again to add it to the.
Yeah, that's the only column.
Yeah.
It just needs that extra zero in there.
Okay. Hi, Chris.
Hi. Stick around.
Sir, Roger that.
How you doing?
I'm going slower. Mark. Why is those bats going to doing it again?
So,
Oh, thank you.
X marks your spot, Sal? Said this X marks the spot?
Hey, Artie.
All right.
Good. How are you?
Oh, okay. Sure.
You'll be getting an update tonight on the Hooper House. Then the solicitor's getting there. Anyway. I heard about that. They blame me. Joel's going to give an update, or actually, Jeremy. Yeah.
So, this is what I was talking to in reference. So, this quadrant on Larry Holmes Drive, to me, it seems like a redevelopment zone for the riverfront. And then that other pocket here where like Wawa is, I know it may,
Right.
you know, it may
Jeremy.
take. That's fine, but who knows? Maybe someone will be interested in
Maybe.
selling that. Like to me, those are kind of outside of the residential.
Mm-hmm. They are.
They are.
downtown?
Good point.
I'm done.
I'll bring that up.
Philadelphia.
We're not
I
gonna-
have
anyway, I'm thinking-
4 classes this semester, and none of them are in Philly. So yeah. However, I do have to drive over to St.
No, it won't
Luke's.
be. It wouldn't be. I talked to Ken on Friday night.
St. Luke's.
They'll get an email from me to
I
him
am
to review it.
Starting next week.
And Dwayne will talk about it, 'cause Dwayne's there at the meeting.
I am going to be a
I got my
chaplain
paper. I got your lunch.
at Anderson. Thank you.
What do you mean? Thank
I'm
you.
creating a mess.
That's $1.50 each.
Getting your exercise in, Ken.
Here you go. I'm gonna need it for tomorrow night. Oh.
What's that? No, forget it. She ain't coming. She's supposed to be zooming in from Belgium.
From where?
From Belgium.
Belgium.
Are we paying for that trip?
No.
Good.
I hope not. I don't know.
Let's get dipped back now.
But you'll have phone calls for me because I already sent.
Thank you. I don't know. What?
I don't know.
Just,
I just said.
so just, I'll find out.
Two signatures for what? 180.
It was like 176, and then Bernard Bruni called the referee.
Yeah, yeah.
He got 2. So I don't know. I'm past Harrison.
Yeah, Tony Diaz is. I sponsored Tony Danza's at the State Theater about 20 years ago. No, he did sing and dance. He was really good. Yeah, he was hell of an entertainer.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either.
You know John Huffman that does our shirts? It's his cousin. And Jill Fritzo is his publicist.
I don't know Jill, but I know.
Jill's over in Peaburg. She's from Peaburg. Please rise for the invocation, followed by the pledge of flag. Heavenly Father, last week, former President Jimmy Carter died at the remarkable age of 100. While we mourn the loss, we also celebrate his life as a great champion of American cities. His urban policy was legendary. As we honor the life of President Jimmy Carter, we remember for his decades of long, hard work for the Habitat for Humanity. With a historic urban policy agenda, President Carter forever changed and strengthened the relationship between the federal government and America's cities. His work spurred private investment in cities, created jobs in areas that most in need, prioritized issues such as housing and mass transit, and fostered civil rights. Blessed are the peacemakers, and Jimmy Carter was truly one of the greatest of them. An incredible American, he spent his life dedicated to the uplifting of human dignity, both in the United States and around the world. We were fortunate to have him speak at Lafayette College, and we remember his words very well. But we also tonight remember the life and celebrate the life of Jeanette Cassis. As assistant principal at Easton Area High School, she touched many lives, and as an active member of our Lebanese community, she was well known. We ask that you watch over her and President Carter, and as our temperatures continue to go down, we ask that you also watch our volunteers who work endlessly to take care of our unsheltered. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk. She got it back, yeah.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Ettinger?
Here.
Mr. Pinnabone? Mrs. Rose?
Here.
Dr. Ruggles?
Here.
Ms. Sultana?
Here.
And Mayor Panto?
Here. Okay, at this time, we were going to get the approval of the agenda. I'd like to amend the agenda and remove bill number 37 from the said agenda.
Second.
Motion to remove bill 37, which deals with the building height, and we'll send it on to the planning commission as required by the municipal planning code. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
And as I said, we'll send the building height restrictions to the planning commission, and they'll take it up either their January or February meeting. Action on our minutes of December 23rd.
We didn't vote on, that was, we voted
Voted on the agenda.
amendment?
Oh, that's right, we did approval of the agenda.
Motion.
Motion. Is there a second to approve the approval of the agenda as amended?
As amended. Second.
Moves and second, roll call, please.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
At this time, we'll have action on the minutes of our December 23rd meeting.
So
Move
moved.
to approve.
Moved and
Second.
second, any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Abstain.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
There are no presentations to be made before city council tonight, so we'll move right into public comment on agenda items only. If there's any agenda item on the list that you would like, and there's agendas over here, that you would like to discuss, you can come up to the podium, give your name and address, and you have 5 minutes. If not, there's time at the end of the meeting for questions, comments, or concerns about the city of Easton on anything. Moving on, is there anyone from the public? Nope. Move on to the consent agenda. There's no consent agenda reports received by council. There's no reports received. I won't receive any of them. So reports of committees, Councilmember Brown, Vice Mayor Brown, Finance Committee.
Yes, Mayor, I have two things on unfinished business. This evening I have Bill 34, which is ordinance of the Chapter 285 for the trash and sewer fee, and also Bill 35, which is under the fixed rates for the city for 2025. That is all I have for this evening.
Okay, Economic Development Committee, Councilmember Pinnabone.
Thank you, Mayor. At the end of the agenda, we're going to finish discussing council attendance that we started yesterday in committee. For my report from Economic Development, we received some approval for grants. The Emergency Squad for $20,000, Fire Station Feasibility Study for $6,600, and the Nesquehoning Memorial Park for $40,600. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, Planning and Codes Committee, Councilmember Rose.
Thank you, Mayor. The next planning commission meeting is Wednesday of next week at 6:30. I saw that the agenda was sent out this afternoon. I saw that the Wood Avenue warehouse proposal is on the agenda. I spoke to Mr. Tillman, the Director of Planning and Codes this morning, and he stated that he had not yet received anything new about the warehouse. Do we know if
I was told we were told at the staff meeting yesterday by Mr. Tillman that it's going to be on the agenda.
okay, but
That-
this morning he told me he had not received any.
He did not receive that they have their state HOP. Mr. Hopkins reported they don't have their state HOP yet, but as far as I know, they're going to be at the meeting, but maybe not. We'll check it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think somebody, Mayor, just because a lot of people from the public are coming, somebody should reach out because they're not going to have the meeting. The
We will.
Planning isn't going to do it if
Didn't he
there's
say
no
that
HOP.
yesterday? At the staff meeting, he said,
Okay. I would just also like to alert people who are interested in attending the meeting, and I don't, if they're not planning to show up, I don't know that they would.
Yeah, I know the last time that this was supposed to be on, and I reached out to staff and asked specifically, do they really want to go forward before they get the HOP or the feedback with the final decision? And at that time, I was told that no, and that even though it's going to be in January, unless till they had it, they weren't actually. What I was told was they're not even sure it'll be in January. So I don't know what communications are happening right now, but
we'll check on that and get back to you, Miss Rose,
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Also on the planning commission meeting agenda is the annual comprehensive plan update presentation. So if anyone's interested, I would encourage them to attend next week. Last night we had a committee meeting discussing parking, and as Mayor Panto had stated, the ordinance regarding the building scale in the downtown neighborhoods is being presented to the planning commission for their comments. We also have the next zoning board meeting coming up on January 21st, and the agendas are out on the city's website. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Public Safety Committee, Councilmember Rogels.
Thank you. We're voting on the police contract tonight, and maybe other council members saw this, but I saw on the news out of Philadelphia how aggressively Camden and Philadelphia both are recruiting police officers, and it speaks to the, if you will, shortage of police officers that are coming into the departments. I believe Philadelphia is 1/3 of their total hiring potential down. I mean, they're down by 1/3 of what they could hire as far as in their budget is concerned. So I think it's something that we really have to pay attention to in the next year or two, is how we're able to recruit police officers, and we may have to be a little bit more aggressive in, I know we're somewhat aggressive, but maybe a little bit more aggressive in advertising and getting police officers to originally apply. So that's all I have.
Councilman, I agree with you. We spoke about this before. I just don't know if we should set the bar in Philadelphia and Camden. That's a hard way to go. I'd rather come to Easton than go to Philadelphia and Camden to be a police officer.
It's much safer here.
Much safer.
That should be our tag.
Much safer.
Public Works, Councilmember Ettinger.
I have no report tonight, Mayor.
Administration Committee, Councilmember Sultana.
I have no official report, Mayor, but we do have a home Easton committee next Tuesday.
Okay, report of solicitors, report of the mayor. There's a number of things that we have. I passed out the year in review article that the Morning Call allows us to do every year, the three mayors, about what's going on, what went on in our city this year and what's going on next year. And Channel 69 also interviewed me about the same thing. And the state of the city is scheduled for March, so I'll go into more detail then. But the skate park update, we met yesterday, and with the skate park that's going down Lehigh Drive, we're going to combine that with the waterfront develop. We got a grant to look at the entire Lehigh River waterfront, and part of that waterfront development will be the skate park. But it's going to be as a comprehensive plan. So we're going to be able to do that. So they're going to meet in 2 weeks with the committee that's set up to do the planning committee with the NRG consultants, and we're going to look forward to seeing something this spring. Next year is the 250th anniversary of the city of Easton. Of the United States of America, and the 200th anniversary of Lafayette College. Now, why are we involved in Lafayette College? Well, not only because they're the largest business and largest industry in Easton, but also because it was the residents of Easton who founded Lafayette College, in case you didn't know that, in 1826. So in 2026, commensurate with the nation's 250th, they'll be celebrating their 200th. So I put a thing on Facebook tonight or today. Anybody who wants to serve on the committee to call my office. So we will be putting together a committee. Obviously, Heritage Day is going to be part of the America's 250th because Heritage Day, we are the site of the third public reading of the Declaration of Independence. And George Taylor, one of the signers of the Declaration, lived in Easton, and his house has been restored over on the 4th and Ferry Street. Also, the solicitor's report, we're going to talk two updates, one about the Hooper House from Mr. Clark, and also from Mr. Clark about the Parada situation with our parking garage. As many of you know, we've been going back and forth with them and their lack of payment to subcontractors. So we're going to get an update on the Hooper House first, Jeremy.
Thank you, Mayor. The Hooper House, as everyone knows, the taking was filed with the court, and notice was provided to the owner. Their only legal recourse or response to that, if they want to oppose it, is to file what are called preliminary objections. So the church has filed preliminary objections to the city's taking. The basis of those, I won't go into the legal details of it really, but the basis of it are two things. One, that the taking itself is improper, and the alternative, that the taking was too extensive. In other words, we didn't need to take the entire parcel. I don't believe that those arguments will prevail, but the city solicitor's office will draft a response to the preliminary objections. We'll file those with the court, opposing the objections of the church and countering their interpretation of the law. There will also be a status conference with the court on February the 12th regarding this matter. We have not been assigned a judge yet, but as the case moves forward, I'll be certain to keep counsel apprised of the situation. I would think at this point that the matter will have some resolution on the POs in probably May-ish timeframe. It's always tough and dangerous to put a timeline on these things because there's a lot of things that could come in, but it'll be a period of time until there may have to be an evidentiary hearing, in other words, about why the city took the entire parcel instead of only a portion. That might require us to bring in some experts, which would cause a little bit more of a delay in that process.
Let me just say that I understand that the owners went to the NAACP last night complaining about the mayor taking the built property. We are talking about eminent domain condemnation, which means the city will pay them, the owner, the fair market value of the site that we get, whether it's a third of the site or the full site. That'll be up to the courts. And my only comment was they should have maintained it because it's a very historic building in the city. It's one of the few remaining 18th century buildings left, and it's not maintained. It still isn't maintained. So we will pay the fair market value. We're not just, the city doesn't have the right to just take a piece of property for free. You pay the fair market value, and that'll be decided by appraisals.
Yeah, correct.
If you don't mind, I know this isn't the meeting for it, but can you just tell the public this isn't something that's been going on for 6 months? It's been, what, 30 years?
This has been more than 30 years because I was here more than 30 years
Okay.
ago, not now.
Through administration.
Two administrations, but back in the 80s, we fought with the owners to update the properties. And right now they have a property, the Timothy House is not even eligible for rental because of code violations, so.
Correct.
And would you also give us an update on the Parada, the 4th Street garage?
Certainly. So the city entered into a mediation as per the contract with the general contractor. The mediation was successful, and we ended up reaching a resolution. During that process, and even before that process, the city did everything that we could, which wasn't a lot based on the contracts, to try to get Parada to pay the subcontractors the monies that they were owed. And I would have to extend my thanks to the members of the directors and a lot of the staff and the administration helped out as much as we could in that process. And we did get some assurances from Parada that they had resolved with most of their subs, and that's really the best we could do in that. But as part of that whole process, the city reached an agreement with Parada for a final payment for the project. So the project is now complete as far as the city and Parada are concerned. And now if there are subs who are still owed money, they can file against the bond, which some of them tried to do before, but the defense that Parada used was, well, we haven't been paid in full for the project, so they have a pay if paid provision within their contract with their subs. And since they claimed they weren't paid in full, although there was a lot of good reasons why they weren't paid in full, that was an easy defense for them to make to the bond company. And then the bond company said, well, they weren't paid in full, so therefore they don't have to pay the subs. That argument is now gone. I know at least one of the subs has already filed against the bond company, and hopefully they'll get some recourse there.
Jeremy, quick question. I brought this up months ago based on one of our longest standing businesses being not getting almost $1 million in payment. As of a minute and a half ago, they still haven't gotten any calls from Parada, no money, no anything. Is there anything that we can do to guarantee other than their assurances, which we know doesn't mean much.
Well, and Bean was one of the special circumstances because at the time of the mediation, they were in active litigation, Bean and Parado already, and so there's no mediation is going to address that without bringing Bean into the mediation, which would then cause an entire different set of issues and complexities. So during that whole discussion, it was expressed by Parado that nothing is going to happen with Bean because that case is in litigation right now. Now, I would hope that they'll settle with Bean now that they've received their payment, but there's nothing we could have done at that point since Bean had. I don't know if Bean filed against Parado. I think Bean filed against that one. Now, I know previously Bean did file against the bond to try to recover.
Right, and it got
They
denied.
were one of the denials on the pay if paid defense, so perhaps they can now revisit that. But I have not spoken to their counsel. I don't know if that's something they're pursuing.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Okay, Mr. Campos, report.
Mayor, I only have one item, which was already discussed, that the administration recommends the agreement that with the FOP that's on council's agenda tonight. It is a contract that falls within the budget, so I just want to make sure that's highlighted to council. And secondly, it does make the salaries in the contract as a whole competitive in the marketplace. So we're very competitive in the Lehigh Valley at this point. That's all I have.
Thank you. Also, if you'll notice, Lewis and Mark and I had a press conference about the police contract, and members of the FOP were there. I need to remind everybody that in 2008, this city was not a safe city. And when they talk about the renaissance that is taking place in Easton and the vibe and everything, it's really, the police department has done a remarkable job. And I thank the police officers then, and I'll thank them again tonight. And I thanked them in the article that appeared in the Morning Call this week about Easton's renaissance will continue in 2025. I hear from everybody that they can walk downtown and they don't feel unsafe. And so I just wanted to repeat that the recommendation from city administration is that we approve the contract tonight. We did meet with city council in executive session to discuss it, and we didn't have any pushback, so we assume it's going to pass tonight, but we don't know. We couldn't take a vote, and we didn't take a vote. Moving right along, we did solicitors, we did
Correspondence.
Cancer, so we go to correspondence. There isn't any correspondence. There's no correspondence. We go right into unfinished business, Madam Clerk.
With bill number 34, an ordinance amending chapter 285 for trash and sewer fees.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mayor, just one. I don't know how we can get the word out. I've been discussing trash and sewer fees this past couple days with residents, and I got bombarded with emails from seniors that weren't aware that there's a 20% discount. I just learned today from Mark and Lewis there is an application for it. Can they just get that on the website, Mark?
Yes, Mr. Pannabone, they can get that on the website. They can come in. We could probably print it out, and basically what they need to do is, if it's a sole resident, they would just need to provide proof that they are a senior.
Both.
Yeah, well, I said if there's a sole, if there are two people in the house, then they would both need to come in and provide proof.
They both would need to be seniors,
correct.
Not just whoever's
Correct.
names on it. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
And that, just to let you know, I came into office my first term in 1984, and there were senior discounts then. So I don't know why people don't know about it, but they should know about it. And
Maybe we can put that in one of the newsletters.
it was a newsletter. Last
was it?
year we ran it several times.
We are, as a result of our discussion, we are planning on broadcasting that. So, I mean,
Okay.
unless you're not on social media, or receive the newsletter right now, I mean, we're discussing it right now, so we're
Well,
spread the
it
word.
could be a great for the first edition of the mailed newsletter.
Yes, it would.
For sure. I'm just saying,
Something we can talk to Tracy about.
I think
having.
100%, and I think also spreading it word of mouth.
We did also put it on the first bills that went out this year, so just as a reminder that rates, that there were changes in some rates and there is a senior discount.
Just as a hint, because I was curious about that discount, so I made the effort to find a form on the site. I will tell you that I'm a failure there. Now, it could just be my ignorance and inability to navigate. I was able to Google for a form, and I have a form. It says you need to have your Medicare card for each recipient, but otherwise, I did not see anything other than the fact that there was a $20 discount available, a 20% discount available for seniors.
Well, if
On
you
our
go-
website, you can ask the bugler.
You
right?
can ask the bugler.
40
Well, I
different
did.
languages.
You can ask the bugler.
I'm gonna try it right now. You
Well,
can
perhaps
try
we
it right
can
now.
highlight that on the website a little bit better if you had trouble
Well, even-
finding it. You're pretty tech
Even
savvy,
on the
Jules.
bill,
Yeah, well, I only got it by not going through the website.
even on the bill, it shows the 20% discount. Maybe we could just put a
Okay.
line how to download the form or the
Yeah,
computer number.
the form refers to section 930-106 of our codified ordinance, which is the wrong section.
Well, but
So-
the thing is, Joe, you're one of our sharper seniors, so you had a hard time finding it. So I don't know if anybody else will.
Well, I haven't taken advantage of it either.
Something
but-
worth looking at. Something worth updating perhaps
Absolutely.
on the website.
I only took advantage of it. Last year was my first year, and I'm 73. My wife's 76.
Artie, do you get it? No.
See?
There you go, Artie.
Artie and his wife are over age, so
Carlton, do you
look
get it?
into it.
Yes.
You get it? No.
Continue, Madam Clerk.
Brad gets it.
Mrs. Rose,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Ms. Sultana,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone.
Aye.
Bill number 35.
Bill number 35, an ordinance fixing the tax rate for all city purposes for the year 2025.
So
Nope.
move. Second.
Go ahead, Dr. Ruggles.
I just want to make sure, I told our clerk that this was incorrect, but I just want to make sure that I told her correctly.
You did.
Okay.
And I would just like to say, to those people who think we're still at 24.95, the general fund is only at 13.3 mils. So we could go up another 12 mils if we wanted to. The idea is that taxes level, if not reducing them. And so if you add up all of our funds, it comes to 24.95. I always see on Facebook where the city didn't raise taxes because they're at their limit. No, we're not at our limit. We're at 13.38.
I just learned that this budget cycle too. I thought we were at our limit. I didn't know till this budget cycle.
Okay, moving right along.
Dr. Ruggles,
You did not.
Aye.
Ms. Sultana,
This budget cycle.
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone,
Aye.
Mrs. Rose.
Aye.
Go right on to Bill 36.
Bill number 36, an ordinance amending Chapter 560, Vehicle Traffic, Handicap Parking Spaces.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion?
Thank you guys for making that amendment for me.
No problem. Roll call.
Ms. Sultana,
Aye.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone,
Aye.
Mrs. Rose,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move right into new business. Madam Clerk?
We have a resolution amending the wellness guidelines in the 2025 Administration Benefits Package.
Set for so moved.
Second.
Moved in second, in discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger,
Aye.
Mayor Panto,
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone,
Aye.
Mrs. Rose,
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles,
Aye.
Mrs. Sultana,
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
We have a resolution approving an agreement between the City of Easton and the Fraternal Order of Police, Washington Lodge Number 17.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved in second, in discussion. I would just like to point out there's many highlights in this contract that makes us more competitive, but I am very happy about the fact that we're giving Juneteenth as a holiday. So we made it a holiday for the police officers.
Mayor, that's a good point. Also, I want to thank the police department. As you've said, and you said numerous times wherever we go, how much they contributed to the city being where it is today, bringing it from where it was. And I know this past year, 24, they took some beatings from outside and from inside, and they handled it professionally and got through it. So I want to thank them for everything they're doing for the city.
Amen. I can't commend them enough. And the premier status, we're the only police department in the entire region that has premier status in our accreditation program by the Pennsylvania Association of Police Chiefs. Okay, moving on. So we'll get vote.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Next resolution.
And a resolution amending the 2025 salary and wage per the police contract.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? This is just the ordinance that we have. Many municipalities in Pennsylvania do not have it. We have it. It's a salary and wage ordinance, so the public can be very transparent, see exactly what each person in the department makes. Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
At this time, we have public comment on any agenda items or non-agenda items. I'm sorry, Mr. Ravitz?
I already have three things I'd like to ask about, Mayor. City needs,
Artie,
Can you speak into the
Sorry.
microphone? Thank you.
the city needs to force this new law through.
Artie, I'm sorry. Just state your name and address for the people
sorry.
watching. Sorry.
Artie Ravitz, 144 Church Street, Easton. The city needs to force a new law through, forcing parking for all new contractors with new buildings in the city. I don't quite know why this hasn't been done before, but I know Councilman Pettibone mentioned you were talking about it.
Last
But it
night.
really
Last night.
Talking in the committee yesterday.
gotta figure out how to do that. That's my
Zoning
first-
codification will come up. We're meeting with the director next week, and then probably in the first meeting of February, we'll have the zoning codification before city council. That'll be their opportunity
Good.
to make that change.
Great. The Hooper House, the minister did come before the NAACP last night, and he thought, I don't know if how the communication was between our council and the Hooper House minister, but he thought that the city had already taken over by eminent domain the Hooper House, and I'm not sure that's the case according to what you said.
What was the initial part of it? If we had taken over
Did
the
you
house?
take over the house yet, or is this just the beginning stages of a process?
Well, so technically, when a taking is filed with the court, title passes immediately to the condemnor, which would be the city in this case. So the moment we filed that taking, title now rests in the hands of the city. They can file preliminary objections to that, and if their preliminary objections are sustained, title will pass back to the church.
I see.
But if they're not, then the next step is to go to the Board of Review, which will determine what the fair market value purchase price
I
is.
got you. So that's what they have to, it's their job, basically, the next step's their job.
The next step is, right, and which they have done. They filed the POs, now we have to respond.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
And I will say that the city, in the last two snowstorms, did remove the snow from the sidewalks.
Okay. The last thing is I just want to congratulate the city on making Juneteenth a holiday. That goes. Thank you.
This is public comment right now.
Artie,
Anyone else?
Artie,
Okay.
just for clarification, the city made Juneteenth a holiday
For police.
a couple years ago. They're just
No,
a year ago. Yes, last year.
Juneteenth is not a holiday.
Down in the country.
It's not in the country.
Oh no, you're not a holiday, but we're recognizing it.
We recognize
We
it.
did
It's a
the
federal
citation.
holiday.
No, it's,
Federal holiday.
it was negotiated in the FOP contract, so don't get confused on the semantics, just for everyone. It was negotiated in the FOP contract. The unions have the ability to negotiate what days they have off, and then we negotiate on the quantity.
Right.
They negotiate on the day.
Right. So the FOP, if we approve it, they'll be able to
Did approve
get
it.
paid off. I mean, when we approve it,
did
they'll
approve
get paid
it,
off. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I just wanted to point out for good everyone else, I was able to locate the form on the city website. And I
You're not a senior.
Yes. But I challenge everybody here who has access right now to try to find it.
I'm with you,
with,
Joel.
With
I'm
no
looking.
clue, try to find it because
This
there are
is not
multiple
the Squid
steps.
Game.
And what happened was, it did remind me that I actually also found it eventually after I had already found it elsewhere and looked for that section that's referred to on the form that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, that was, I don't understand, well.
Mayor, if there's no more comment, we can go into attendance.
One second. Anybody else from the public would like to address city council? The three students that are here, welcome. Hope you saw your local government in action. And you have any questions? Everybody's shaking their head no. Mr. Childs would like a question. Okay, moving on to Mr. Pinnabone.
So as the council, we brought up that we were going to speak again tonight. Last night's meeting, we talked about adding attendance to the code of conduct for council members. I spoke to our attorneys this morning who spoke with our directors this morning in their solicitor meeting. I then spoke to Councilwoman Rose. We talked about setting a fee for attendance or lack of attendance. One thing the solicitor mentioned was, if you miss a meeting, you take your salary, divide it over the meetings, and if you miss a meeting, you don't get paid for that meeting. We said we were going to hear more.
The solicitors basically said, if the charter paid council to come to a meeting like they do zoning and sewer authority, where they get $25 per meeting, then you could do it. So it would take a charter change.
Yeah, you would have to go through an entire ordinance change to become effective upon the completion of the next election, changing the
Well, that's what I asked
compensation.
last.
All right, so then we
Changing
won't.
the method of compensation, but I would caution you too, and if you want to, we could adjourn to executive session, because this becomes a personnel matter, because if you're gonna break it down to compensation with the idea of taking away, particularly if you're talking about taking away a payment that's already required in the ordinance, you better look at also why there wouldn't be, as employees making just under $10,000 a year, what other penalties should there be for not doing other aspects of your work? Because showing up is just one aspect, and it may well be that at the end of the year, everyone's going to owe $30,000 to the city, and that
So
would
then
be
that,
a pro- and that
so
would
we're
be a
not going to
problem
do an
with the wage.
executive session.
Well, that would be a problem with the wage and hour laws.
So we could talk about that maybe when we
Well, I
look
think,
at other things. But
listen, I agree with you. If you're an elected official, you should be at a meeting. And if you're not at a meeting, you should let the city clerk know. Don't let me know, let the city clerk know. There was an email that said a council member didn't know that I wasn't gonna be at a meeting. No, I told the city clerk.
I suggest that adding it to the code of conduct is the smartest way to deal with it. You already have remedies built in there. The remedies are consistent, and remember, the ultimate remedy is the electors.
Joe, thanks for clearing that. 'Cause that's what I thought last day, but I didn't want to speak to it until I heard what you said today, and you cleared it up in my mind.
So also, Councilwoman Rose mentioned yesterday, which I agree with, at the end of the year, the attendance of council members should be put out for the public. And if you're using your money to your stipend to go to trainings or other things that benefit the city, you should have to come back that following and give an update of what you learned and how it will benefit the city. So if there's anything else from the council members, ideas or thoughts, the goal is to put it on the agenda at the end of the month and vote on it.
I have no problem with supporting that.
I think it's a great idea.
I think that
I don't like, I support it, and I'll do whatever city council decides as a majority to do, but I don't like making rules for one person. There's only one person who doesn't show up at a meeting. And that's not the reason to change the ordinance, but I agree that it should be in the code of conduct.
Well, Mayor, I don't disagree with you, but I'm not saying we're changing it, we're adding it. I think we should have added it when we did the code of conduct, and I don't think any of us paid attention to it.
Right. Well,
But there's always
everybody's
elections
attending
coming up,
meetings.
every 2 years, there's always elections coming up and new people coming on, so I think it sets the precedent going forward, regardless of why we created it.
I think accountability is important, and I especially would like to make sure we're adding just an annual update for the residents to know who's showing up and who might not be showing up. I mean, we don't usually have that issue, but especially when it comes time to vote, I know not everyone gets a chance to tune into the meetings, and, you know, again, accountability is important, so.
I agree. I think that one of the things that came up last night was the fact that accountability and the public knowing how many times a council member is attending the meetings, things can come up, and I think Councilman Penable brought it up last night very clearly, that emergencies come up. Therefore, you cannot help it. And I brought up the fact that I'm very conscious about that, if I'm not going to be able to make it a meeting, always let them know way in advance, as I did 2 weeks ago now, that I was not going to be on the 21st. And that's my personal obligation to the position that I hold and the public who put me in office.
Absolutely. I know I'm not alone. Many of us schedule vacations around our meetings and things. We know when the meetings are. And there occasionally are going to be things that take us away from it and emergencies, but, you know, we should all strive to be here.
As we said yesterday, to make sure we take attendance, not only for full council meetings, but also committee meetings, which the full board attends, as well as executive sessions. Executive sessions, I feel, are extremely important because you're dealing with things that have to do with very serious, important topics, budgets, payroll, things of that nature. So the attendance would be considered for all of those things.
Especially the budget meetings, probably
Especially
the
the
most
budget meeting, the most important vote
That's the
you
most
take.
important problem,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You got to know what's in the budget before you can vote on it. That's
Council, I do want to make my point as well. As I mentioned before, the city council members should not be obligated to report their absence or, attendance to the mayor or council president or to anyone else, because city council members are elected representatives who operate independently within their roles. So requiring them to report their attendance could undermine their autonomy and diminish the collaborative and independent nature of their responsibilities. So I think the council members should be focused on their legislative duties and responsibilities rather than managing bureaucratic attendance reporting requirements.
I disagree with that because part of our as we put our hand up and said that we were swearing to something, we swore that we was going to uphold. Upholding means holding ourselves accountable, holding ourselves accountable not only to ourselves, but to our constituents who put us in office. And that's very important. As we raise our hand, we know that. We know when the meetings are. They dated out there every other week. And if we can't make it a simple task, pick up the phone, call the clerk, let the clerk know, and we move on. But when we don't take our responsibilities on and do such things, then we find ourselves in a situation where we got to put something in place.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there any more questions
So,
or comments from the council?
So Councilman Brown, you are mentioning that we should at least let the city clerk know, right?
Correct.
So is that optional, or you are suggesting this to put it in the code of conduct?
No disrespect, but it's just a good old common sense on the business side. You know, you're going to miss work. You're going to call your job and say, hey, I'm not feeling well. Hey, I won't be able to make it in a day. That's just what you do.
Our bare minimum duties are to read the packet and understand it and ask questions before you vote on something and show up. Your duty is to show up here.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
and I understand, Mr. Brown, what you're trying to say, but at the same time, it's very important to understand that the Madam Clerk works for the city. The city doesn't work for Madam Clerk.
No, she works for
So
council.
it's
She doesn't work for the city. She works
optional.
for council. She reports to council.
Right. Okay. So why the council has to report to the Madam Clerk? I mean,
Why wouldn't you?
Because she takes attendance.
Why wouldn't you let her know you're not coming to a meeting?
She's the one, Councilwoman, that's in charge and in control of taking attendance, filing the reports. We don't do it. So you would have to let her know so she can keep attendance.
And also pass that information over to administration. So they're not.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's important because she gets the information. She lets the rest of the council member know that someone's not going to be there, and she sends that information to administration so that it's important for administration to know what the agenda is. Someone else can pick up on that person who's absent on the agenda if we got to pass something.
And to know whether if the meeting needs to be canceled because there's not going to be a quorum.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
That's
Yeah,
the big
the
item.
quorum is
Big thing.
the quorum is 4 council members, right?
What?
The quorum, 4 council members have to be present in order to make a quorum,
Correct.
right?
That's correct.
So where the city businesses have been disrupted by just missing one meeting,
I don't think,
and also
I don't think,
It's the
Councilwoman,
pattern of
Yes,
absenteeism.
Right.
It's not missing
Not
one
one
meeting.
meeting.
It's an absence.
Councilwoman, I don't think it interferes. I think when certain people miss a meeting, it's kind of a relief for other members. However, when somebody's elected, you are hired by the public to do a job, and you get paid when you show up. If this was a regular job in the community, a person would be fired.
that.
Pardon me?
Thank you for saying yes, elected by the people,
All right.
not by the council or anybody else. We are not employed by the council or the mayor, right? We are elected by that's exactly what I'm trying to say. And also, attendance is documented in the meeting minutes to ensure public transparency. While I believe the attendance numbers should be recorded, and separately, honestly, I have been actually working with Madam Clerk to, collect all the attendances. So I have been trying to do that already. But
Well, then you should be in support of this.
making that as a required, making that a requirement, it just doesn't sit with me. And also, it's very important for council members to learn about the authority of elected officials.
Sorry,
Again, the council
Councilwoman.
members are not paid per meeting. They are elected officials, and their
Well,
compensation
it's
is
the
set by the
flip side of the
ordinance.
coin here. If you're not paid for meeting, here's what we're missing. Irregardless if we're here or if we're not at the meeting, we're still being paid by the public. And we owe the public the right to know that we're in attendance and that we're doing a job that they put us in place for. If you're not coming and you miss several meetings or you miss whatever the case may be, you're still going to get that paycheck, irregardless.
Mayor Pinto, I would like to hear from Councilwoman Rose, and then I think we could adjourn and put it on the next meeting for a vote.
Councilmember Rose.
I don't want to keep arguing, but I think that if you're not going to show up and do your job, then you should step aside. It's just my opinion, and let someone else do it who's going to show up and participate actively. That's what the neighborhoods and the residents deserve.
Totally agree.
Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay,
I'd
I'll
like to put
entertain a
it on
motion for adjournment.
We'll put it on the
If
agenda
you're
for the
gonna-
next
If
meeting.
you're gonna put something on the agenda, could please run the exact language by us so we get it right. Thank
Will
you.
do.
I just had one other thing. I always like to end on a positive note. I just wanted to thank the Easton Business Association for hosting a well-attended ribbon cutting this afternoon for the vault. I saw the mayor there. We had a great turnout. And also invite everyone, the Easton Business Association is hosting a grand opening ribbon cutting for Tonic on 4th Street, North 4th Street, on Friday at 3:30. It's open for everyone to attend, so I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to add something because
I don't think the chair recognized it. We're going to do one more thing, and that's an adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Ms. Sultana?
You know where
Aye.
we're going. We get back to that.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Pinnabone?
Aye.
Mrs. Rose?
Hi.
No, me too.